What up, guys and gals? Welcome, motherfuckers, to another day in the life of, well, quite possibly what could be the most intense vision that there ever was. What does that mean? I don't even know. Don't question it. So, what the hell is today? Day 32? Day 32! Or would it be that for you? I don't know. What are we doing today? Well, our last discussion that we had, we went a little bit in depth of the character that we're working with. Eris and some of the mindsets that he has. The crucialness of it all. Now, what's very important to kind of always keep in mind is it's like shaping a consciousness in a sense of like how we can navigate him through this world and then the growth of it all. So, since he's like in book 1, he begins at 17 years old. Book 2, he's probably going to turn 18 within book 2. I don't know. I don't keep track of the months. Honestly, I should. I really should. I know when his birthday is, but I don't know how many months go by. But it was really a crucial for me to keep in mind that he's a younger person, so the way he looks at the world's got to be younger, right? That was, as I'm 32 years old, I've kind of been through all this shit. And so, like, your 20s, that chaotic period, man. For me, it was really crucial to stay in touch with that younger me. And in a sense, the person that I still kind of am. Whereas this confusion of person, this I don't understand who I am or what I'm supposed to do. It wasn't like I kind of set out and said, like, that's what the story is. It just became that because that's what my life is. As I listened back to day 31, the more I listened, the more I heard myself talking about myself, being confused at where I am. Everyone want me to do something, but when it comes time for me to sit down and think about it, I don't even know how to feel about it. That's generally how my life has always felt. I've always felt this pressure, this immense outside pressure, and half the time stupidity. And for me, it was just like, what do I do with all this information? And how, I don't think anyone ever made me feel, when it comes to this kind of mentality, like I should do what I want to do. I always kind of felt like you need to do these things to make this person happy. You need to do these things to make that person happy. You go to school and then like they need you to do all this stupid fucking shit so you look good at 2 shoes, and I don't even know what their mentality was. It was kind of a weird concept school, It felt like, so I just got to sit here and please you? I guess they never made me feel like this education is benefiting me. No one ever made me feel that way. They always kind of made me feel like, you have to do this. You need this. Like, okay. So it's just a struggle that's always happened in my life. And it's only until I've hit about age 30 that I finally said, you know what? Like, what about me? What about the shit for myself? And since that point, it's just been really difficult in trying to figure all this stuff out. I'm still kind of clueless at it, and there's still times where even I look, I'm like, am I doing it yet? Am I living my life yet, or am I still doing what other people want me to do? I don't fucking know. And that can be very, very frustrating. And so, at the end of the day, the most important thing that we're working on is self. And the major theme of the book is discovering self. And if you remember what I told you last time, outside of that theme, I wanted to do one thing. As I've gotten old, this is over the years. This was not me sitting down at age 19 going, how should I do this? As I've gotten through the book, I realized the biggest thing that they always say in writing is show, don't tell, right? Because in a sense, you want the reader to kind of come up with this stuff, and you want them to relate to the character, and you want them to just don't tell them how to do things. You don't like that, right? And I was like, okay, I'll try. And I really had tried. But there were times where I was like, I don't know if this is the showing, not telling, but the inner monologue scenes, I want you to really hear, and in real time, because the character in real time will react to like, well, I don't understand what you're talking about. If he's talking to a guy who's a little shady or whatever it may be, I don't know. So I struggled a lot with that. Then I realized, like, no, the idea that you are not Eris, you are participating in watching him. That was important to me over the years. It took me a while to kind of figure that out, but I was like, no, I don't want to sit here and please people. That's not what this is about. I can't write a story where I'm like, I don't know how to word this, man. I don't feel like I'm writing this because like I want to be a famous writer. I want to be like Stephen King, and I want to have people buy all my books and this and that. I don't come across that way. What I'm trying to do is, it's more for me. Like, I want to write this damn story, and I want to get it done. Let me see. There's a truck outside. Oh, Jesus. Oh my God, there, here. Fuck, we gotta do a thing. I'm back. Just got a washer dryer, so I had to be there for the install. Anyway, who would have thought as an adult I'd be excited about buying a washer and dryer? If you remember in the last video, I was trying to get you inside of Eris's mind and letting you know how he feels about stuff. And in my way, how I relate to it. And so my point I was getting to was, I'm trying to get the reader to activate more of their empathy than their, I don't want to say sympathy, but their like relatability. You know, as I set out to write this, I didn't set out for people to relate to me or the character. The goal that I had was, how can I get this reader to care about someone else? I think that's more important than having them see themselves inside of another. Because that is the same thing, but it seems like that process has been going on for a long time. And as the more I go about this, the more I realize the, show don't tell, and how I'm not good at showing. I'm better at telling. Like how characters feel and how, what they're going through. I feel like that's better because for me, it's more authentic. I don't want to have a lot of misinterpretation, but enough. Like out the gate, I've already gotten, two people really read it, and they have totally different views about a character named Cypress in the book. Totally separate. I got one person that doesn't even think that Cypress is a bad guy. Not like a bad guy, but like that's doing anything bad. And I thought, well, that's interesting, because he kind of fucking is, but if you don't see it, very interesting. And then I got someone else, I don't remember their view. So I think for me, that's crucial, because people will always do that anyway. And as the book is, it's like these videos. I'm not just kind of sitting here and like making things happen. You can kind of guess at, like, I think he's probably going through this, and he's probably feeling like that because when he said that. There's not going to be a whole lot of that because I'm expressing everything I'm feeling. I'm pushing it out. I'm telling you what's going on, not assumptions and shit. So for me, that's what's important, because it allows you to listen. It allows you to, like, just, I know you can't listen when you read, but you can, whatever the reading equivalent is, that's the goal. Is to, instead of just being about you for a moment, listen to someone else. Listen to their shit and what they're going through and how they feel. Stop trying to make it about you. Because I think that's the major fucking problem with everything. Everything's got to be about us. Like sympathy and empathy. Like, are you really though? Or are you being yourself inside of that person? Don't think about you and how you feel and how you interpret it and how you are enjoying it or not enjoying it. Like, stop fucking doing that. Read the son of a bitch for what it is. And listen to someone else for once. And let someone else emote for one fucking minute, like one chance. That's what I'm trying to go for, And I need people to understand that. Like, that's incredibly crucial. That we have to understand that fact. what else can you do, you know? So as we go through the stories more, obviously it centers a lot around Eris, the young hero, and his coming into manhood. His coming into manhood and transcending into kind of another, and transcending into a realm, becoming a man and becoming a hero and finding himself. That's the most important thing. You don't really have a lot of that stuff nowadays for these young boys. I remember I went on Facebook Marketplace because I'm always on the lookout for F-150s, right? And like old ones from the 70s or 80s. I'm always just keep my eye on them. And I exited out of it and it took me back to the feed screen, right? Which I try to avoid. First thing that popped up on there was, I think it was a Rolling Stone article or something with Shakira saying something about in the Barbie movie, it's nice and all, but her young sons, they need guidance too. Or I don't remember how she worded it. Like, it'd be nice to show men not in a negative light. And you should have saw the comment section. People were like laughing at it. People were saying, you must have not seen the same movie that I saw because it was good for men and blah, blah, blah. And all that bullshit. And I remember almost thinking like, wow, these people are pathetic. It's disgusting. It really is. And the fact how they see the world. And it really ignited in me like, no, young men need stories again because we don't have any. They're all telling you feel bad if you're a man because everything's your fault. The world doesn't need you. You're the problem with the world. And especially if you're a white man or a boy. Now you're double the fucking problem. And that's not, you don't tell people that. That's so fucking weird, isn't it? No one sees that that's weird. That's fucking odd. You know what you do? Flip it. What if you found that they were saying about another race of people? All of a sudden that's different. So for me, I see this shit going on and I see what's happening. They're trying to get people to fight each other. They're trying to eliminate a certain race of people out of this world. Maybe it's because it's their oldest enemy in the world. The people behind all this shit. And you know who I'm talking about. That, for me, is like, we need stories for the young men. Because it is not easy just being a young guy. People just think, like, you have the world, it's easy for you. You don't have to do shit. I forgot the terminology, but you just get what you want because of your skin tone. I'm like, I don't know what fucking world they live in. But that would be nice if that were to happen. You know, instead of earning what you get. And I think that's where it lies. So when I'm making this story, I'm keeping this in mind, this young part of myself, and trying to remember how he felt. That's what I was always trying to do. I'm like, how did he feel all the time? I just take that and I put him in scenarios and I say, how does that young 17-year-old me react to this? What does he feel about the situation? You know, when you roll up in a situation where you're kind of on your own and you're charging your own path, but there is so little that you've gained thus far, so the decision making not only is harder, but is tougher to really navigate. You don't really see the road. And we've all experienced it if you're over the age of 30. We've all of us that are older, we remember looking back at our 20s and going like, fucking A. Because that was that point of like growth. 20s in our modern civilized society is, we don't have ritualistic rights to becoming a man or becoming a woman anymore. So we have our entire 20s to waste and trying to find who the fuck we are and make mistakes and learn from ourselves and fucking all this bullshit. And you waste 10 years of your life fucking around. And I'm like, that's the point at which people need guidance. From 17, 18, 19, going into your mid to late 20s, people need guidance there. And so many times you're just kind of thrust in a situation because either you need the money and so you're doing these weird jobs, or you're in a relationship, you weren't really taught what relationships are, so it's kind of unhealthy, but at the same time you don't really know what to do about that, and you let it kind of take you, or you let people with fucked up mentalities kind of mess you up and change your perspective. You get yourself into drugs and alcohol like you shouldn't. You do all this kind of fucked up stuff because you don't have a moral compass. Because no one ever fucking taught you how to have one. That is what my book I want to do. I want to take you through this fucking character and like him not having this moral compass because no one ever taught him to have one, and having to figure shit out for himself, and having to fuck up, and having to hurt people, or and having to do things that maybe he could have been smarter about this. But you don't see that as well as him not seeing that. But at that time, let's look at his mindset as he's going through these certain things. What's the first major thing you feel when the world feels like it's against you? You blame everyone else. That's what we always do. Like, oh, the fucking world's against me. Everyone's selfish. No one cares about each other. This is bullshit. We're all fucking numb and living our lives and watching suffering happen and take part of it and playing the victim game. That's your first major thoughts, and you can take those and never change them. And most people do. Or you can evolve those thoughts and change your perspective and start to look more at self and how you perceive the world. If you only see negativity, evil, sexism, racism, whatever isms, if you only see that, that's you seeing that. You're not looking at everything else. Because there's a constant equal balance in human consciousness, just like everything else. So when you don't see all that shit going on, of course you're only going to see the negative shit. And you're shaping yourself to be the worst person of, the worst version of yourself. That's what you're doing. You might think you're not. That's what the virtue signaling is. You're actually signaling the shit of yourself in another. So you're taking your shit and throwing it on people, because it makes you feel better. And we don't need to do that anymore. Let's just look at self, reflect, and change our views. I've said in a video before, it's like, just because you think something, just because that thing feels right, doesn't mean it is. You know what I mean? Like, there is no divine right on a mortal plane like this, where it's like, I have this viewpoint and I feel this way and it feels good to me. I think it is right. Like, that doesn't make it right. That doesn't make it right. You can't judge your shit like that. And the biggest factor that is stop pushing it out at other people, stop looking at the world, stop going on the internet and getting mad about things. That's all you have to do, but no one can do that for whatever fucking reason. So in this book, it's like, okay, we have this young hero, and we have him facing some things, and everyone's telling him this, this, and that. You're this, you're that. You need to be this. You need to be this hero. You need to save this king. You need to do these things that will guide you into some sort of prophetic thing that was going to happen. And I didn't want to explore necessarily the idea of changing the prophecy, though it may happen. That wasn't my intent. The intent is, when you get swallowed and thrown down this long fucking journey, this long tunnel of this prophecy, of living this destined life and doing what you're meant to do and you're supposed to do this shit, how does your mind handle that? What are the preceding things that happen as you're falling down this dark tunnel of prophecy? What can you tell yourself? How can you trick yourself? How do you know what truth is in that? What is the light in a dark tunnel, if not something by another person? Someone lights a match. Someone has a fucking lantern. Their light is what you follow, like a moth to the moon. So the meaning behind that would be, these people, I have what you need to be. I have the light. I know exactly what you have to do. I went to a school about this shit. I know how to guide you. Or this person. I can help you reach your potential because I am so in tune with people that I know how to make you a better person. That's what my lantern is. Follow me. And so you're jarred to like, well, why wouldn't I go to the light if I'm in perpetual darkness? Who's holding that light? Some fucking dude. I don't know who he is, but they're promising me salvation. What else do you, what do you know what I mean? Like, what wouldn't you do? You wouldn't be like, nope, gonna continue down this horrible fucking realm and see what happens. Most people don't do that. They'll seek the first opportunity of what they would think is enlightenment. So that is Eris's major journey. How can I really show you, how would I say this? How can I show you how it can be to fall? How it can be to triumph? What goes on in the mind when we're on the journey of life? When one doesn't constantly question themselves and question the place that they're in and look at their past and judge that to how they got to where they are in the present, if one's not instantly, automatically, always doing that, how can that negatively affect them? How can that positively affect them? What if they don't think about what they've done? Because there are certain chapters that certain characters don't really think about that shit. Some people just think the past is the past, the future's now, you know? But like some people think that kind of stuff and they don't like, it doesn't matter. That just all happened. I'm here. This matters. Like, not really. You know, I'm sad to say, but not really. Because this was created there, dumb fuck. You have to take this and move forward. Well, if this was shaped by the past, you're going to continuously do the same goddamn things over and over again. And be like, I don't even know what's going on. I keep meeting bad women. I don't know why. You know, or like, I can't just be happy. Like, no shit. You were formed and forged in this past of struggle. And now you charge forward into the future of this enlightenment and you wonder why you're doing the same things? Or why you're not happier? You got to fix that. You got to fix that mindset that you had been created. That point is in which Eris will, grow. That's what we're trying to show you. And how, remember I told you that I make a lot of factions and groups and civilizations and characters, and everyone has their own version of what good and evil is. Everybody's got their own version of good and evil. That took a lot to work on, but I wanted to show just how much you can convince yourself of your good and your evil is the ultimate good and ultimate evil. That is the major problem in our world right now. There are like a handful of people that are telling us, whoever us is, the majority, of what good and what evil is. And what it is to be a psychopath and like a fucked up person and a monster, or, just someone that's whatever isms, like I always say, and tell you exactly how to not be one. Here's what you need to do. You need to watch these shows. You can do this, and that. And all of a sudden, you're starting to replace a culture quietly in the background, or these people writhing their hands. You can't play into these fucking demonic people. And that's the goal of the stories, is just in a room full of people telling you that they know what's right and wrong. And they all hold the light in their hand of enlightenment. And you're in that foggy, dark cave. Do you avoid them all and pass through them, wade through the fucking bullshit until you find your right and wrong? Or do you just stick to the first fucking one that makes sense? Well, if you're young, you're probably going to stick to the one that makes the most sense to you. Everyone's got this thing, they read it out, and it's like a user agreement. You're like, I could probably go for this one. There we go, I'm part of this group now. Cool. I'm going to shape myself for this group. Like, no, you shouldn't do that. You have to find your right and wrong. And you have to create a new future for yourself. And eventually, others will follow suit. At least that's the idea. If it's true or not, I don't know. I think from that point we shall cut it. Typewriter, I painted it. Look at that. Ooh! We're going to begin the writing journey here soon. And then we shall see just what we come up with. And I'll be back with more things in the future.